This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, and welcome to this pre-recorded webinar on the grant opportunity for the TA&D Center for the Development and Implementation of High-Quality Instruction, Interventions, and Services for Children with Disabilities. I'm David Emenheiser, a project officer at the Office of Special Education Programs, or OSEP. The purpose of this webinar is to increase applicants' awareness and understanding of the requirements for this Technical Assistance Center. Please note that information in the notice inviting applications for the 84.326C Technical Assistance and Dissemination opportunity will be summarized during this webinar. I strongly encourage you to read the notice carefully and to view the recorded webinar with information about applying for OSEP's discretionary grants and submitting a grant application. The agenda for this webinar covers 6 overarching topics. First, we will review the absolute priority for the competition. Then we will discuss the application requirements and the other important information related to eligible applicants, funding amounts, and formatting. I will then show you the important dates along with the funding cycle and present the opportunity's general requirements. Finally, I will share the selection criteria that will be used by our external peer reviewers when evaluating these applications. This priority is from the allowable activities specified in or otherwise authorized in Section 663 and 681D of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. The purpose of this priority is to fund a cooperative agreement to establish and operate a center to provide technical assistance to local educational agencies, charter management organizations, private school associations, and schools to develop and implement high-quality special education programs that enable children with disabilities to make progress toward meeting challenging objectives in light of each child's circumstances. The next 3 slides cover the expected outcomes of the center. 3 outcomes are knowledge development. OSEP expects the center will design and refine a framework that incorporates theories, knowledge base, and effective policies, procedures, practices, and tools that can be used in a variety of settings to develop and implement high-quality IEPs and provision of a FAPE consistent with the Andrew F. decision by showing positive impact on the achievement of challenging objectives by children with disabilities. Secondly, OSEP expects the center's activities will increase knowledge of the practices that support high expectations and the achievement of challenging goals and objectives tailored to children's individual circumstances. Also, OSEP expects the center's technical assistance to LEAs, CMOs, private school associations, and schools will increase knowledge of how to improve students' access to appropriate, effective, and individualized instruction and services that enable appropriate developmental, social, academic, and functional progress and achievement. The 4th outcome is a practice improvement. OSEP expects an increased use of evidence-based knowledge, tools, and products demonstrated to increase the capacity of LEAs, CMOs, private school associations, and schools to develop and implement high-quality IEPs consistent with the Andrew F. decision, and to have a positive impact on the progress toward meeting and the achievement of challenging objectives by children with disabilities. In order to achieve those 4 outcomes, the center will provide universal and intensive TA. The center is not expected to provide targeted TA. The universal TA is in the form of knowledge development and dissemination. The center will identify the relationships among IEP development, service delivery, parent engagement, and individual student outcomes, will disseminate the ways in which improved implementation of instructional practices and related services guided by the IEPs lead to improved student outcomes, and also will refine the knowledge developed from the lessons learned during their intensive TA to LEAs, CMOs, private school associations, and schools. The center's intensive TA will test the findings of the center's knowledge development activities, specific LEAs, CMOs, private school associations, and schools in collaboration with SEAs. The applicant must propose a plan for this intensive TA, including how they will recruit LEAs, CMOs, private school associations, and schools, how they will assist the participating TA recipients, and to use the products and services, and how they will assess effectiveness and fidelity of implementation. The results of this intensive TA will be used in modifying the center's initial universal TA products, as well as developing additional products. 3 terms, TA services, universal general TA, and intensive sustained TA, are defined in the notice as TA services means the expertise provided in response to a client's defined problem or need in order to increase the client's capacity. OSEP has specified 3 categories of TA services: universal general TA, targeted specialized TA, and intensive sustained TA. Universal or general TA means TA and information provided to independent users through their own initiative, resulting in minimal interaction with TA Center staff and including one-time invited or offered conference presentations by TA Center staff. This category of TA also includes information or products such as newsletters, guidebooks, research syntheses downloaded from the TA Center website by independent users. Brief communication by the TA Center staff with recipients, either by telephone or email, are also considered universal general TA. Intensive sustained TA means TA services provided on-site and requiring a stable, ongoing relationship between the TA Center staff and the TA recipient, usually entailing a negotiated series of activities designed to reach a valued outcome. This category of TA should result in changes to policies, programs, practices, or operations that support increased recipient capacity or improved outcomes at one or more systems level. The next 4 slides provide an overview of the other requirements for the application. For specific information related to these requirements, please refer back to the notice inviting applications. The applicant must include a logic model that depicts at a minimum the goals, activities, outputs, and outcomes of the proposed project. A description of those project goals and activities, including a timeline of how and when the activities will be performed by the project. A description of the evaluation activities and measures to be incorporated into the proposed project, providing a detailed and complete description of both the formative and summative evaluation, being consistent with the project's logic model, and a statement that the center will maintain an accessible website. Funds must be budgeted to cover the cost for all activities and personnel of the center, including travel and set-aside. The required travel, as listed in the NIA, includes a 2-day kickoff meeting in DC, the 2.5-day Project Directors Conference in DC each year, 3 2-day trips to DC each year, and a 1-day intensive 3+2 review during the 2nd year of the project. The center is required to set aside 10% of their annual allocation for emerging needs and department initiatives as identified in collaboration with the OSEP project officer. CIP3 is the Center to Improve Program and Project Performance. The major tasks of CIP3 are to guide, coordinate, and oversee the design and formative evaluations for large discretionary investments in OSEP's technical assistance and dissemination, personnel development, parent training and information centers, and educational technology, media, and materials programs. The efforts of CIP3 are expected to enhance individual project evaluation plans by providing expert and unbiased TA in designing the evaluations with due consideration of the project's budget. CIP3 does not function as a third-party evaluator. The grantee will work with CIP3 to revise their logic model, submitted in the application in order to provide a more comprehensive measurement of implementation and outcomes and to reflect any changes or clarifications discussed during the kickoff meeting. Refine the evaluation design and instrumentation proposed in the application consistent with the logic model, and revise as needed the evaluation plan submitted in the application such that it clearly specifies the measures and associated instruments or sources for data appropriate to the evaluation questions, suggests analytic strategies for those data, provides a timeline for conducting the evaluation, and includes staff assignments for completing the plan. Delineates the data expected to be available by the end of the second project year for use during the project's evaluation, the 3+2 review, for continued funding, and can be used to assist the project director and the OSEP project officer with the assistance of CIP3 as needed to specify the performance measures to be addressed in the project's annual performance report. The applicant must dedicate sufficient funds to start up the project, to work with CIP3, and to carry out evaluation tasks described in the evaluation plan to meet the requirements of the notice inviting applications. In deciding whether to continue funding the project for the 4th and 5th years, the Secretary will consider the EDGAR requirements, the recommendation of a 3+2 review team consisting of experts selected by the Secretary. This review will be conducted during a one-day intensive meeting that will be held during the second year of the project period. The success and timeliness with which the requirements of the negotiated cooperative agreement have been or are being met by the project, and the quality, relevance, and usefulness of the project's products and services, and the extent to which the project's products and services are aligned with the project's objectives and likely to result in the project achieving its intended outcomes. Under the GEPRA of 1993, OSEP has a set of performance measures, including long-term measures that are designed to yield information on various aspects of the effectiveness and quality of the TA&D to improve services and results for children with disabilities program. These measures are focused on the extent to which projects provide high-quality products and services, the relevance of the products and services to educational policy and practice, and the use of those products and services to improve the educational policy and practice. Projects funded under this competition are required to submit data on these measures as directed by OSEP. Grantees will be required to report information on the project's performance in annual and final reports to the department. This slide lists the eligible applicants for the competition. Eligible entities include SEAs, LEAs, including charter schools that are considered LEAs under state law, institutes of higher education, other public agencies, non-profit private organizations, outlying areas, freely associated states, Indian tribes or tribal organizations, and for-profit organizations. The estimated award for this project is $2 million per year. We will not make an award exceeding $2 million for any single budget period of 12 months. We anticipate making one award, and the project period for the award is up to 60 months. This slide includes information about the formatting and page limit recommendations. Please double space all text in the application narrative and use a font that is 12 points or larger. We recommend that you limit the application narrative to no more than 70 pages. The use of clear, concise writing in your application is going to be beneficial. The program has two general requirements. the applicant must make positive effort to employ and advance in employment qualified individuals with disabilities in project activities, and must involve individuals with disabilities or parents of individuals with disabilities from ages birth through 26 in planning, implementing, and evaluating the projects. Reviewers will be instructed to review the content of Appendix A, which may be single-spaced and must only include information directly related to the application requirements described in the narrative. This information might be logic models, charts, tables, figures, graphs, and screenshots. The next set of slides will describe the selection criteria for the competition. Reviewers will be awarding points based on each section of the narrative and will be asked to rate the applications based on the following criteria: significance, quality of project services, quality of the project evaluation, adequacy of resources and the quality of project personnel, and the quality of management plan. The first criterion is significance. Applications can receive up to 10 points for this criterion. Reviewers will consider the extent to which the specific gaps or weaknesses in services, infrastructure, or opportunities have been identified and will be addressed by the proposed project, including the nature and magnitude of those gaps or weaknesses, and the importance or magnitude of the results or outcomes likely to be attained by the proposed project. The second criteria is the quality of project services. Applicants can receive up to 35 points for this criterion. Reviewers will consider the extent to which the goals and objectives and outcomes to be achieved by the proposed project are clearly specified and measurable, the extent to which there is a conceptual framework underlying the proposed research or demonstration activities, and the quality of that framework, the extent to which the services can be provided by the proposed project reflect up-to-date knowledge from research and effective practice, and the extent to which the training or professional development services to be provided by the proposed project are of sufficient quality, intensity, and duration to lead to improvements in practice among the recipients of those services, the extent to which the TA services to be provided by the proposed project involve the use of efficient strategies, including the use of technology as appropriate, and the leveraging of non-project resources. The third criteria is the quality of project evaluation. Applications can receive up to 20 points for this criterion. Reviewers will consider the extent to which the methods of evaluation are thorough, feasible, and appropriate to the goals, objectives, and outcomes of the proposed project, the extent to which the methods of evaluation provide for examining the effectiveness of the proposed project implementation strategies, the extent to which the methods of evaluation will provide performance, feedback, and permit periodic assessment of progress towards achieving intended outcomes, and the extent to which the methods of evaluation include the use of objective performance measures that are clearly related to the intended outcomes of the project and will produce quantitative and qualitative data to the extent possible. The fourth criterion is the adequacy of resources and quality of project personnel. Applications can receive up to 15 points for this criterion. Reviewers will consider the qualifications, including relevant training and experience of the project director or principal investigator, the qualifications, including relevant training and experience of key project personnel, the qualifications, including relevant training and experience of any project consultants or subcontractors, the qualifications, including relevant training, experience, and independence of the evaluator, and the adequacy of support, including facilities, equipment, supplies, or other resources from the applicant organization or the lead applicant organization, the relevance and demonstrated commitment of each partner in the proposed project to the implementation and success of the project, the extent to which the budget is adequate to support the proposed project, the extent to which the costs are reasonable in relation to the objectives, design, and potential significance of the proposed project. The fifth criterion is quality of evaluation plan. Applications can receive up to 20 points for this criterion. Reviewers will consider the adequacy of the management plan to achieve the objectives of the proposed project on time and within budget, including clearly defined responsibilities, timelines, and milestones for accomplishing project tasks. The extent to which the time commitments of the project director and principal investigator and other key project personnel are appropriate and adequate to meet the objectives of the proposed project, and the adequacy of mechanisms for ensuring high-quality products and services from the proposed project, and how the applicant will ensure that a diversity of perspectives are brought to bear in the operation of the proposed project, including those of parents, teachers, the business community, a variety of disciplinary and professional fields, recipients or beneficiaries of services, or others, as appropriate. Thank you for your time and attention. Again, I strongly encourage you to read the notice very carefully and to review the recorded webinar with information about applying for OSEP's discretionary grants and submitting a grant application. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the OSEP grant opportunity for the TA&D Center for the Development and Implementation of High-Quality Instruction, Interventions, and Services for Children with Disabilities. Again, thank you.